3 years. 3 long, lonely years. 3 years without freedom. 3 years without the woman he loved. 3 years of hell. And now, they were over. Scott Mitchell released a slow breath and took one last look at the bleak gray walls of the high-security prison where he'd spent the past 36 months of his life. Where he'd reached such depths of despair that he'd seriously considered suicide. Where he'd lain awake night after night, yearning for the tender touch and sheltering arms of the woman he loved, who never wanted to see him again. Where he'd acknowledged his mistakes and straightened out his priorities. He filled his lungs with the cleansing air of freedom as he gazed at the hellish place that had, ironically, put him on the road to heaven. Because without the faith he'd rebuilt one tentative step at a time, he wouldn't have survived the harsh, brutal environment where he'd been stripped of his dignity, reduced to a number, and looked upon with contempt. And now that he was a free and changed man, he had one clear goal. Win back the heart of the only woman he'd ever loved. That would take a miracle. But he believed in miracles, because he couldn't have survived these past 3 years without one. So with one last look at the forbidding walls that had held him captive for 3 eternal years, he stepped out of prison and into a new life. This was the day. Jess Mitchell drew a long, unsteady breath and tightened her grip on the mug as she took a sip of coffee. The husband she'd once loved with every fiber of her being was free. Which was wrong. She mashed her lips together, squeezed the handle of the mug. As far as she was concerned, Scott deserved to rot in prison for the rest of his life. Her coffee sloshed close to the rim of the mug and she set it down, the taste of bitterness sharp on her tongue as a familiar anger surged through her. The same anger that had been her constant companion for months. Until a welcome numbness had taken its place, insulating her from pain and allowing her to better cope with the world around her. But now the anger was back, and with it the raw anguish.